Hello, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Gabs, one half of the Slip Slip Sis duo, and I am coming on to chat with you a little bit about my finish 9 for 2023. Truly, it's more like a finish 11. It used to be a finish 12, but I've already finished something. But one of the items I kind of grouped together in one big thing. So let's get started. These are all knitting projects. I am choosing to comfortably ignore my unfinished crochet projects that I haven't touched since before I was married. So they haven't been touched since 2015. So these are just knitting projects. And they are all hopefully going to be done this year, if not this springtime. So that's my goal. My first knitting project has a deadline because it is a design collaboration with Blue Sky Fibers. So I'm super excited about it. It's got a deadline in the middle of February. I am storing it in my Erin Lane bags. This is her barrel tote in the colorway Yarn Chicken, which is kind of an amazing print. And if you've been following along, you know that I play Yarn Chicken all the time. It is my constant state of knitting, honestly, because I always think I have enough yarn and most of the time I lose. But I got this bag on Small Business Shindig, which was a Facebook Live event. If you're not part of Erin Lane's Facebook group, I think it's Erin Lane Bag Buddies, you should totally join. Lots of fun things. So in my barrel tote, in my Yarn Chicken barrel, I have my Blackberry Ridge cape vest thing. It's quite large. I'm on my 4th skein of DK weight yarn, and it's 150 grams each. So I'm on, I don't know, 600 grams. So this is almost done. It's just over 2/3 of the way done. I'm in the middle of a row, and it's got this really lovely texture to it. It's worsted weight, so I'm really enjoying working on it, and I'm going to wear it. I just tried it on, and the back detail came out lovely, which is right here is kind of my back detail. This section of stripe sits right in the center back, so it's coming out lovely. I'm thinking I've got about 20 more inches of knitting to do. My goal is to knit about 3 to 4 inches a day, so it's looking about maybe another week or so. But we'll see how it goes given that I'm going back to work. So this is my Blackberry Ridge. It's my design, and it's coming right along. So this is like my most active WIP that I'm working on. My next kind of larger WIP is, sorry, I'm out of frame, is stored in this really cool, funky 70s box that I got from my grandma when she passed away. She used to store her sewing patterns in it, and I've since reclaimed it to store my larger knitting projects in it. If you watched our podcast, you've seen this project before. This is my Buffalo Rose cardigan. It's a test knit where the finished date is coming up quick, so hopefully I will get it done. It's end of January. It's a steeked cardigan. You can see I have steeked it. I'm on the sleeve, and it is got these beautiful rose details on it. I have to duplicate stitch all of these roses on, and there are 9 roses, and I've done 2. So I don't think I'm going to actually make the duplicate stitching part done by the test knit deadline, but my goal is to have the sleeves and the collar knit, because that's really what's the concern for a test knit, right? The pattern doesn't call for a duplicate stitch. It calls for a ladder back jacquard or stranded color work. And with my kids and I usually knit on the floor with my kids, and I just couldn't make it happen. The girls were getting into the yarn. I was losing count. It was becoming challenging. It was taking me about 2 hours to get through one row, and the color work chart was 49 rows. So I did not have almost 100 hours to spend on a color work chart. So I knit it in 2 color work, and then I'm going to duplicate stitch the roses on. So we will see how that goes. It is I think it's going to turn into a long-term project, but I am going to try and make active progress on it as soon as I finish my Blackberry Ridge. My other kind of larger project is my Stephen West's Twist and Turns Mystery Knit Along. It was the Mystery Knit Along for 2022. I am stuck on Clue 2. It is stored in my Deliq train case. It does say Namaste. I purchased it when they were still Namaste, but they've since rebranded, and the train case looks a little bit different now, but I still obviously like it. It's great. It's in a lilac color. This is a pattern. You can put your pattern here, but I did not. So my Twists and Turns Make Along, I'm stuck on Clue 3, the second half of it. If you've been doing the pattern, I'm doing the mirror image, so I'm right here on the second part of these little, my sister calls them worms. The colorways are, this is Sage, maybe, from Rebel Woolworks. I don't believe she's dyeing yarn anymore. The purple is Truxton Circle from Neighborhood Fiber Company. This is a single ply, the purple. And then the cream is Orchid by Barnyard Knits. It was one of her colorways of the month back in 2020. So it was a colorway of the month for April. So that's my birthday month. So my husband bought me 2 skeins of it. So I really like my colors. I think they're going to be perfect for springtime. I just haven't gotten there. Similar to the Buffalo Rose cardigan, the shawl is a little bit challenging to knit on the floor with my kids. There's about like 100 stitches on hold. It's kind of large and unwieldy. You're knitting, the piece is very large, but you're knitting on this tiny little strip. So that means all the rest of the shawl is just flipping and flopping in the breeze. So it's only a nighttime knit, which is kind of why I stalled out on it, but I do want to finish it. I do like it. So that is another one of my kind of long-term larger projects. My last larger project for my Finish 9 is a shawl that I started last year. It's called the Ira shawl or Era shawl by Ksenia Nadon. It's Life is Cozy on Instagram and Ravelry and all places you can find her. This is also in the middle of a row because I'm kind of chaotic. It's a asymmetrical triangle. It's this way. So it's really lovely. If you've been watching the podcast, you may have seen this before. I started in this lovely like speckled pink, and I'm slowly transitioning into yellow. I was working on it really religiously or extensively in early 2022 when I had just had my daughter Eleanor, but I was working on it while I was pumping because I was an exclusive pumper for Eleanor, and then I weaned and stopped pumping, so then I stopped working on this. I think kind of because I was associating with breastfeeding, and breastfeeding was a challenging journey for me. So this got put on hold and has been hibernating for about 6 months, but I am hoping to join and do it again. It's done in a bunch of different minis. Most of them are Earl Grey Fiber Company, but it's just kind of a smorgasbord of minis. The pattern itself calls for 2 colors, but I'm just kind of popping in the minis as I go because I wanted kind of a fade speckled situation, so I wanted to use up my minis. Those are my kind of 4 larger projects in terms of my Finish 9s that are going to take me a while. My 5th larger project is a sweater that I've been working on. It's in my classroom. I'm a high school teacher and I left it in my classroom over winter break. That's how dedicated I am to knitting it. I haven't knit a stitch on it in about 4 months. I brought it to school in August. Haven't knit it at all. It's a modified Spellman sweater, which is a design by Tristan Molina. I omitted the sleeve charts. The original has cabling on the sides. I left out the cabling, and then I'm just kind of knitting on the yoke right now. I initially planned to do color work in the lower half of the body, kind of like her witchling, but now I've decided that I don't want to do that because, like my other larger projects, color work isn't really feasible with my kids right now. So instead of letting the WIP languish, I'm going to split the sleeves, knit long sleeves, and then I'm going to do, I think, a ribbing detail instead, like a twisted rib for the majority of the body, and I'm going to crop the sweater so I can wear it with one of my dresses. surprisingly, I can cable with my kids on the floor. I just can't do color work. I think it's the switching of the two balls that is tricky for me. So once I go back to work on Monday, which is I think like the 9th, once I go back to work, I'm gonna fetch my sweater home so I can actually work on it. So those are kind of my larger WIPs that I am trying to finish this year, and I've got a bunch of smaller ones that the rest are socks that I also want to finish. So this sock is my next up. It's in this super cute bag by my mother-in-law. She doesn't have a business or anything like that. She is also a retired teacher. We're all teachers or in education in some way in my family. So she made me this bag for Christmas, but she also made my sister Shaylee a coordinated one. But what I like is that it's got the clear thing so I can see what's in the thing. So it's not a mystery. My husband attached for me a carabiner so I can clip it to my purse. I cranked this tube on my sock knitting machine. I have an Erlbacher Gearhart knitting machine. I love it. It's expensive. Like, it's a pricey thing, but I love it. I love the socks, the fabric that it creates. I really enjoy it. This yarn is by Kemper Ray. I think the colorway is Sabrina. I got it in a D-stash on, I think it was Gary's D-stash for good. So I got this on a D-stash, and it is combined with this blue, which the ball band got lost because I let my children play with it. So my daughter actually wound this up for me. She's 3. So it's a little bit messy. So that's why it's in this cute little cozy, which is by Cookie and Bees, Brienne, I don't believe is still selling things actively, but sometimes I've seen her pop up on Instagram where she does like a flash sale of like 10 items or something like that. So give her a follow on Instagram. I really like these. They've got a bottom to them so they can kind of sit where you are, and they're super helpful for me because unlike Hank Spanx, which or other yarn cozies, they're like tubes and the yarn come out the other side. My kids pull on this side of the yarn, so this way they're a little bit more controlled in the bottom. So maybe if you have young kids or if you've got pets or something that like to try and play with your yarn, this is a great one. She makes 2 sizes. This one is the mini skein, and there's a larger one, which I unfortunately don't have that I'm currently not using. So this is my next sock whip that I usually use for like knitting in the car, knitting on the go when my larger projects, I'm just not in a place to carry my larger projects with me. I used to carry my larger projects, but now I go everywhere with my kids. So then there's like the diaper bag, the milk bag, snack bags, my purse, all the things, and then whatever we purchased like on a Target run or something. That socks are my portable knitting. To that end, sorry if I just wiggled the camera. I'm realizing I put all of my things, the camera's resting on an ironing board. Then when I grab things off the camera, it does a little wiggle. I apologize. I also have 4 other, sorry, I'm reaching too, 4 other sock tubes that are kind of like for my on-the-go knitting. If you watched our podcast, you've seen them. This is, I bought also on a D-stash. I cannot remember who the yarn dyer is because I've lost the ball band or given the ball band to my sister. Because these are all 50 grams of yarn sock tubes. I'll unroll one, you can see. Because I have fairly small feet, I wear a US women's size 6 and my feet are pretty narrow. So I usually crank what I want for my socks and then I give the other half of the yarn to my sister. We do a lot of swapping of yarn, which is great because I'm on a yarn freeze this year where I'm trying to buy less yarn. Mainly because my kids are getting older, so they need more of their own space, so I have less space for yarn, so I'm trying to keep my crafts a little bit more contained. But my sister buys yarn because she's not on a yarn freeze, and then she gives me her leftovers, so it's a win. It's a win for me. I don't know if it's a win-win for her, but it's a win for me. Because my sister has a little bit more space. She's got this whole beautiful craft room. She just did a reno of it. If you haven't seen it, I will attempt to link it up here. If not, it'll be in the description box. She has this beautiful new craft room where she's got all the space. The room that I'm currently in is a craft room, but I also share it with my husband when he works from home, which is 2 days a week. So it's shared with, this is also my husband's office. The closet is also filled with my clothes, and it is also a portion of it's our laundry room. So my craft room is not as dedicated to crafts as my sister's is. So she's got a little bit more space than I do. I don't have a mini skein yet for this one. It will be one of my next car knitting whenever I finish that pair of socks. I also have this one. I was on a pink kick. I don't know what happened. It is also another D-stash that I know I got this one from Gary's D-stash for good. Once again, lost the ball band. Can't remember what dyer it is or gave the ball band to my sister. One of the two. It's got this lovely like purple speckled green going on. If you've been watching for us a while, you know we love pink and purple. So I've got this. They're actually like, they're similar, but they're not the same. So that's another pair of socks that I'm working on. This portion of like my cranked socks, I'm counting as like one WIP because I kind of treat it all like one big project. It's not, it's many, many little projects, but you know, what can I do? This one is, this one I'm positive this time. This one is Storyteller yarn, and the colorway is, look at me, all organized. And by me, I mean my husband. Oh no, I'm not organized. I don't have the ball band. This is the ball band for this. This is Storyteller yarn that we got from Knits and Knots Tahoe at the Sierra Nevada Yarn Crawl. So if you want to check out, we have a video for that. I will attempt to link or put in the description box, one of the two. That Chaylee and I went to in September. It was super fun. You should totally do it. So I got this to kind of commemorate the trip, and then got this mini, which I actually have the ball band from Knitted Wit in Salted Caramel. It's a, I want to say 10 gram mini because it's 46 yards. That sounds right. It goes like this. And it is, this was from, sorry, brain fart. This was from Lofty Lou's in Placerville. So it's another one of my card knitting. My goal for this yarn is, or pair of socks, is to have it finished by next September, or I guess this September because it's September 2023, because Shaylee and I are hoping to go back to the Sierra Nevada Yarn Crawl, and I'd love to wear my socks that I bought there at the yarn crawl. So that's my hope, is to get it done. Also that our schedules align so Chaylee and I can go. Chaylee travels a lot for work, so hopefully her travel schedule lines up with the yarn crawl. I'm a school teacher, so it's not so bad. I know my schedule pretty far in advance because the district decides it, but Chaylee's is a little bit more like fluid, so it's a little bit tricky. My last pair of cranked socks, or that are already cranked, are these. They're my Vampire Queen socks. This is like, I'm pretty sure this is the first skein of indie dyed yarn that I ever bought. They are by Forbidden Fiber Company, back when she was Forbidden Woolery. And I bought them from the Yarn Over truck in Southern California when I was still living in Southern California, which I graduated from graduate school in 2016. I lived in Irvine from 2013 to 2016. I think I bought this maybe in 2014. These were originally already knit into a pair of socks. I am making another video about frogging finished objects that I actually wore those pair of socks 2 or 3 times and then just didn't like the fit of them. Totally my fault, not the design. The design is lovely. It's really cute. It's, I think it's the Tillamook Valley socks by Lindsay of Larkspur Knits. At the time she was Lost and Fond, which is how long ago I knit them. It was just gauge issues on my part and that kind of thing. So I frog them and crank them so they can be a pair of just cranked socks. So hopefully I will find a mini that goes super well with these. My pile of crank socks grows never ending because I've got 2 more skeins of yarn sitting on my sock knitting machine table that I want to crank. I really like the fit of cranked socks. They're a little bit tighter. I have a pretty loose gauge, and for my feet, I really like Afterthought heels. They fit me the best, so I'm discovering this as I keep going. I also have, this is my long-term project, not that the others aren't long-term as well, which is the Cozy Memories blanket by Kemper of Junkyard. And this is how far I've gotten. Not far at all. Not far on it at all. I just haven't picked it up. I need to. I'm making a commitment to it this year that I'm going to at least make progress on it. It's in another bag from my mother-in-law. She made it for me a couple years ago for Christmas. It says, working on my PhD, projects half done. So I thought this was going to be great because I never finish anything, hence the 11 WIPs. This yarn is, this is by Little Skein in the Big Wool. This is Anne Valley's yarn. It's a beautiful like cashmere blend. I used this yarn to make our fence post socks, which I will maybe put in a picture if I'm organized. If not, I will also add the link to that. This beautiful, like, this is a silk blend, is from Chicken Coop Dye Works, and I think it was a mystery colorway. It came in like one of those mystery bags. This is the remainder of the yarn for our Slats on a Pie cowl, which is actually our very first cowl that we've ever, our very first pattern ever. I published it in 2021. I think it was like May of 2021, which isn't that long ago. Chaley and I have only been designing for like 2 years, but still. And then this lovely brown is by Golden Sheep Fibers. It's in their colorway Redwood, and it's the scraps off of my seed pod socks that just came out recently, like in the fall, on for the Sun and Fog collection. So I will link all of those. Hopefully I'll put pictures and be organized. If not, I will link them below so you can shop them in our Ravelry shop if you like. I initially planned to make this Cozy Memories blanket only my designs, but then I realized that that was silliness and I wanted to work on it some more because I keep seeing everybody else's scrappy projects and loving them. So I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna put whatever I want in it, and that's what I'm going to do now. This year, 2023, is my year to do it. I even prepped some needles for it, so hopefully I will do that. I also have one more sock project that I have to do. This is another design that's coming out this year. It has this lovely cabling lace detail. It's unnamed so far. It's a design with the Fiber Company, which will come out in December of next year. I know it was just December, so like 11 months from now. So that's the deadline on this one, with their like holiday sock collection. Our Garlands and Bauble sock also came out with that collection last year, so I will link that as well and hopefully be organized and put a picture. If I'm not, links down below. Yes. This yarn is from Daisy Stitch Co. It's lovely. I got it in one of her 50-gram mini or 50-gram mystery packs. It's got lovely speckles. I really like it. So that's what this other half is. So I had second sock syndrome, and I don't actually remember why I got second sock syndrome. I think what happened was I knit it right before we went to Hawaii in July, and then didn't want to bring just a sock to Hawaii. And I was like, oh, I'm going to finish it, and then I'm not going to have any projects, and all of those like stressful, what do you pack to go on vacation? Because clearly I'm going to knit like 1,000 yards on my 2-day vacation or whatever. So I just didn't, and then it got buried. But I'm picking it up and committing to finishing this. I'm a pretty quick sock knitter. I can usually knit a sock in a week, so I just need to like put my nose to the grindstone and do this. My last couple like WIPs, they're not really WIPs, they're just plans that I've committed with and told my family that I would do. So I'm doing them. The first one is the Float Tote by Knitty Natty. My sister and dad already made my sister's, and I am hopeful that my dad has made most of mine. It's a crochet pattern, and he's a much faster crocheter than I do. He's been down in Southern California visiting my sister, renovating her craft room. Check out that video. See, look at this cross listing, cross, whatever, renovating her craft room. And I think he took the yarn that I gave him for my project that I requested with him. I hope that's what he did. If not, I'll be sad, but that's okay. So the yarn that I would like the float tote, that I'm hoping to do my portion of the float tote with, is this lovely cotton yarn that Shaylee and I won in a prize wheel spin from Lofty Lou's at the Sierra Nevada yarn crawl. Shaylee and I were so stoked. I let Shaylee spin the wheel because that's what big sisters, right? So she spun the wheel and we won a grand prize, and we could pick, and we picked yarn. So it's Circulo, which I believe is a South American dyer or company, and their colorway, once again, I have lost the ball bands. My sister has them because she's organized. I'm not. I think I recycled mine. It's 100% cotton yarn, so it'll be perfect for the float tote. I'm hoping to do my float tote in all one color, and I hope that I have enough yarn. And these last 2 tiny balls of yarn, I'm going to do to the little cups of the float tote while my dad makes the whole big thing for me. Because I'm 31 and I still ask my dad to make my stuff for me. So hopefully that's what I'm working on. It's a really cute pattern. I think it's going to be perfect. It's for color work, for just big things, and it'll be a really cool thing to do. So hopefully you will see a float tote from me soon. My last committed project is the January sock swap that I did with my sister. Shaylee and I swapped socks for the entire calendar year. So it's mostly like 50 grams skeins and WIP of ours. They're either leftovers of ours or just yarn we weren't so interested in, and we traded them, and we picked socks or sock patterns to use, and we're gonna knit them together. It's like January 6th. Shaylee has of course cast hers on and is probably halfway done. Have I even caked mine up? Nope, but the deal was I had to finish it by January 31st, so I have a reminder in my calendar to cast them on January 20th. I'm really trying to knit some of my WIPs before adding to them. Like, I started the year with 12 WIPs. I'm committing to not having more than 12 WIPs, so I can't cast these on until I finish one of the WIPs, and hopefully not really cast it on until I finished one of my larger WIP projects. So these socks this month for January, we are making the Whispers in the Wind pattern by Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady. All of our patterns we're doing this year are the Crazy Sock Lady patterns because we have purchased many of her patterns. We have purchased definitely over 12. I think close to 20 of her patterns. We'll link her below. You should check it out. So the colorways that Shaylee gave me is this super cute self-striping. It's Felici and the name is Mermaid Tails. I love it. I love purple. I'm not entirely positive my sister didn't just buy this yarn because she knows that I like purple, and she probably bought it as part of one of those large packs, and then maybe was like, oh, I can give the purple to Gabs. And along with it is this lovely blue mini skein by Earl Grey Fiber Company, and the colorway is Steve Holt by Arrested Development. If you've seen Arrested Development, you know that you have to say Steve Holt like this because that's what Steve Holt does. So hopefully this project, I will not fall behind in the first month because I won't have time to catch up in February because February is only like 28 days. So I have less time to wiggle around and be squirrely about it. So those are my 2023 finish 9, but really finish 11 goals for this year. Hopefully I will get them all done in a timely manner. There's no shame in having a bunch of WIPs. Like, that's not the thing. It's just, I don't want to store them. I want to use that storage space for more yarn, more project bags, more things that I want to work on, new crafts, those kind of things. I just don't want to be storing things that I'm not using. Like, I don't mind storing the project if I'm working on it, but I don't want it to just sit there. I want to be using my crafts and using the yarn that I bought and those kind of things. So I'm also trying to knit down my stash just so I've got a little bit more space. I'm working on decluttering because I know that it just makes me feel better when there's a little bit more open spaces, that kind of things, especially as my girls are getting older. My daughters are 3 and 1. As they're getting older, they need more space. I can't have yarn stuffed in every corner of the room. Because so much for watching. If you stuck with me for this like half an hour or so of chatting, please like and subscribe or comment on the video. It helps you so much for watching. I will see you next time on our channel.